The twin suns of Zorathis hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the crystalline spires of the royal palace. Princess Kaelara stood on the balcony, her iridescent scales shimmering in the light, her twin tails flicking in agitation. Below, the bustling city of Zorathis Prime stretched out, a labyrinth of glowing streets and floating vehicles. But Kaelara's mind was far from the beauty of her homeworld. "Your Highness," came the soft melodic voice of her handmaiden Lyria. "The Council of Elders requests your presence." Kaelara's slit-pupilled eyes narrowed. "Let me guess. They found another suitable mate for me." Lyria bowed her head, her antennae drooping. "They only wish to ensure the continuation of the royal bloodline. It is tradition." "Tradition," Kaelara spat, her voice dripping with disdain. "A chain that binds us to the past. I will not be shackled by it." She turned and strode into the palace, her long, flowing robes trailing behind her. The Council of Elders awaited her in the grand hall, their ancient, scaled faces impassive. At the center of the room stood a holographic projection of a Zorathian male, tall and muscular, his scales a deep emerald green. "Princess Kaelara," intoned Elder Voss, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We present to you Prince Draken of the Southern Isles. A worthy mate, strong and noble. Your union would bring stability to our people." Kaelara crossed her arms, her gaze icy. "And what if I refuse?" The elders exchanged uneasy glances. "You cannot refuse," Elder Voss replied. "It is your duty." "Duty?" Kaelara's voice rose, echoing through the hall. "What of my dreams? My desires? I will not be sold off like some prized animal." Before the elders could respond, Kaelara turned on her heel and stormed out of the chamber. She needed air, space, freedom. She made her way to the royal hangar, where her personal starship, the Celestial Flame, awaited. Without a word to her guards, she boarded the ship and took off, leaving Zorathis Prime behind. Kaelara set a course for the Outer Rim, a region of space known for its lawlessness and diversity. It was a place where Zorathian royalty rarely ventured, and that suited her just fine. As she navigated the stars, her mind raced. She had always known this day would come, but she had hoped to delay it, to find a way to carve out her own path. Her thoughts were interrupted by a proximity alert. A small, damaged vessel drifted in the void, its engine sputtering. Kaelara hesitated. Helping a stranger was risky, but her sense of honor won out. She brought the Celestial Flame alongside the crippled ship and extended a docking tube. The airlock hissed open, and Kaelara found herself face to face with a human. He was tall, with tousled brown hair and piercing blue eyes. His face was smudged with grease, and he wore a patched-up flight suit. "You're Zorathian," he said, his voice tinged with awe. "And you're human," Kaelara replied, her tone wary. "What are you doing out here?" "Name's Jace," he said, extending a hand. "My ship got caught in a ion storm. I owe you my life." Kaelara ignored his hand. "You can thank me by explaining why a human is this far from Earth." Jace grinned, undeterred by her coldness. "I'm a traitor. Or was, until my ship decided to fall apart. Look, I don't mean any trouble. If you could just drop me off at the nearest port, I'll be out of your hair." Scales. Kaelara studied him for a moment. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and she had never met one before. They were said to be impulsive, emotional, and unpredictable. But there was something about Jace's easygoing demeanor that intrigued her. "Very well," she said. "But try anything foolish, and you'll regret it." Over the next few days, Kaelara and Jace traveled together. At first, she kept her distance, But Jace's curiosity and humor slowly wore down her defenses. He asked endless questions about Zorathian culture, and though she found his ignorance annoying, she couldn't help but be amused by his enthusiasm. "So, let me get this straight," Jace said one evening as they shared a meal in the ship's galley. "Your people choose mates based on what scales? Antennae? Do you have like a beauty pageant or something?" Kaelara snorted. "It's not about appearance. It's about bloodlines, power, and tradition." "Sounds boring," Jace said, leaning back in his chair. "Back on Earth we just fall in love. No rules, no councils, no pressure." "Love," Kaelara scoffed. "A fleeting emotion, driven by hormones and irrationality," says the princess who ran away from an arranged marriage. Jace shot back, grinning. Kaelara glared at him, but there was no real anger in her gaze. For the first time in her life she felt free. With Jace, she could be herself, not a princess bound by duty and expectation. Their journey took an unexpected turn when they were intercepted by a Zorathian warship. Kaelara's heart sank as she recognized the insignia of the royal fleet. "Princess Kaelara," came the stern voice of Captain Zorak over the comm, "you are ordered to return to Zorathis Prime immediately. The Council of Elders demands your presence." Kaelara clenched her fists. "I will not return." "You leave us no choice," Zorak replied. "We will board your ship and take you by force if necessary." Jace stepped forward, his expression serious. "Let me handle this." Before Kaelara could stop him, he activated the comm. "This is Jace Carter of Earth. The princess is under my protection. If you want her, you'll have to go through me." Kaelara stared at him, stunned. "What are you doing? You can't fight an entire warship." Jace winked. "Watch me." To her amazement, Jace initiated a series of evasive maneuvers, dodging the warship's tractor beams and weapons fire. He used the Celestial Flame's advanced cloaking technology to disappear from their sensors, then slipped into a nearby asteroid field. "How did you do that?" Kaelara asked, her voice filled with awe. Jace shrugged. "I've had a lot of practice running from trouble." Despite their narrow escape, Kaelara knew they couldn't run forever. The Council of Elders would never stop searching for her. She had to confront them to make them understand that she would not be controlled. With Jace by her side, she returned to Zorathis Prime. The Elders were furious, but Kaelara stood her ground. "I am not a pawn to be moved at your whim," she declared. "I will choose my own path, my own mate, or none at all." Elder Voss stepped forward, his expression grave. "If you defy tradition, you will be exiled. You will lose your title, your home, everything." Kaelara glanced at Jace, who gave her an encouraging nod. "Then so be it," she said. "I would rather be free than live as a prisoner of tradition." In the end, the elders had no choice but to relent. Kaelara's defiance inspired others, and soon whispers of change spread across Zorathis. The rigid traditions that had governed their society for millennia began to crumble. As for Kaelara and Jace, they left Zorathis Prime together, exploring the galaxy as equals. Though their bond was unconventional, it was built on mutual respect, trust, and a shared desire for freedom. And so, the alien princess who defied tradition found not only her own path but also a love that transcended species, cultures, and expectations.